Howdy, friend. It's nice to see you. Today's a very cold day where I'm at. I don't know what it's like where you are, but there's a whole layer of snow covering everything. Sky is as gray can be. And it put me in mind of a poem. One of the solaces that we have in these winter months is winter poetry. And this is exactly that. It's a winter poem by Robert Frost. And I'm sure you're familiar with him. He was a great American poet. This particular poem was written in 1922 and published in 1923, written in New Hampshire. He grew up in, I think, San Francisco, moved to New England, where he really started to kick off his poetic career. Although it didn't take off, the way that he wanted to with the success that he was shortly to meet. Instead, he found that when he moved to England, and then he became kind of famous in America after the fact. But very prolific poet. He won the most Pulitzer Prizes of any poet to date, 4, and they were all well deserved. He's a man who knew the nuances of poetry, but still was able to talk conversationally in his poems. A lot of the greatest ones are like that. The greatest poets have this mastery, this deep understanding of the laws of poetry, you might say, and what came before them in terms of poetic form. And then they kind of break the rules as they want, and they make it their own. And his was a very calm, almost conversational, like I said, conversational style of poetry. Today's poem is no exception. It's stopping by the woods on a snowy evening. If you know anything about the poem, there's a lot of conjecture surrounding it. What is it about? What isn't it about? Um, I think we missed the mark when we do that, though. Robert Frost was even approached in his lifetime, what is this poem about? Because it sounds so dark. It's got these themes anyway of like, you must keep going on, even though you are sort of bogged down in this winter storm. Themes of, I can't say it on this channel, but forever sleep, self sleeping. And so he said it's not about any of that. If it is about anything, it's about perseverance and the duties of man. And I think that's right. I think even more than that, he wrote this in the span of 30 minutes. He said in an interview once, a news reporter came to his farm. He was a farmer also, and asked him about it. He said that he wrote it in 30 minutes. It was nothing to him. It was like it was given to him as a gift, he said. And that's right. He was working on a different poem all night, switched to this poem, and it just flowed out of his pen. And the best poems do that. He's also quoted for saying that poems begin with delight and end in wisdom. Elsewhere, he said that a poem should begin with a lump in the throat. And that's what this is. I think it just gives you an emotional, it's like an emotional gift that he's giving to you, and you shouldn't try to squeeze too much meaning out of that emotional gift. Just sit in the scenery of the poem, in the flow of the poem, and let the emotion wash over you, rather than trying to be all esoteric about it and get into the nuances of what it might mean on a metaphysical level. So let's read this poem. I've tempted you enough, I think. I've teased you enough. Here it is, stopping by the woods on a snowy evening. Whose woods these are, I think I know. His house is in the village, though. He will not see me stopping here to watch his woods fill up with snow. My little horse must think it queer to stop without farmhouse near, between the woods and frozen lake, the darkest evening of the year. He gives his harness bell a shake to ask if there is some mistake. The only other sounds the sweep of easy wind and downy flake. The woods are lovely, dark and deep, but I have promises to keep, and miles to go before I sleep, and miles to go before I sleep. Oh, fantastic poem. And you might have noticed it's in a very particular rhyme scheme. A, B, A, B, B, C, B, C, C, D, C, and then D, 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 D. So it kind of closes the circle at the end there. It makes for a very natural reading. It's an iambic tetrameter. And like I said, he knows his stuff. He knows poetic form, but he almost makes you think that he doesn't, that he's writing in free verse. He kind of like slips it in. It's amazing how he can do that. And it's a fantastic poem. It does make you think, if you not to again overanalyze this poem, but we've all been there where we're going about our duties and then we stop and we almost find God in those moments of peace. We're in the eye of a tornado, if you will, a tornado, and everything around you is calm and peaceful, and you have this moment of serenity, and you can't stay there. You have to leave. And that's the struggle. That's, I think, what Eastern philosophy gets wrong. That's not the end all be all. In fact, famously, the Buddha came back from that place of nirvana to share his teachings with other people, but very much so the end goal in Eastern religions like Buddhism is nirvana, that sense of like nothingness. But that's not what it is in Christianity. Our goal is to be with the Lord one day, and until then, to struggle onward. So I hope that you're able to do the same. I hope that you can find some solace and some comfort in these winter days, and God's blessing to you. Take care.